He has worked with musicians from Yes, Alice Cooper, Santana, Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, and so many more. He has and still does tours all around the world. He's been an actor, co-creator, and director, best known for being the lead singer of Asia, and now his traveling collaboration of amazing musicians called The Rock Pack. Everyone, John Payne. Hey, John.
God, I do sound wonderful, don't I? I don't know how my head gets through the door after that introduction.
Well, that's good.
So nice to talk to you again. It was fun seeing you at the Woodstock show, and thank you for having me on your show.
You are so welcome. Thanks for being with us. And I just want to jump right into this. First of all, I want to say happy birthday early. It's on the 29th, right?
And it is early, but yeah, actually it's not that far away at all. And I really, I've now got to the age where I'm not exactly looking forward to every birthday.
Yeah, but at least you must have fun on your birthday.
Well, I always do, and I've got a great support of friends, and I'm lucky that I don't feel any different, touch wood, health-wise than when I was 25. I'm still singing with the same range, which I'm really lucky with, and I'm getting busier and busier rather than you'd have thought over the last 10 years that I'd be touring less, and it's from the start of Asia. It's been 82, and I joined the band in 1991, so that's a long time ago. But as all of us that get older, that we're also still still young inside, and you can talk about 82 and talk about 91. To a lot of us, it seems like yesterday.
Yeah, that must be crazy for you. It really, and I mean, even going back to now when you started, the Beatles were actually just fading out, right? And then the music of Yes, Cream, Led Zeppelin, that was all coming into play. Tell us how you started your first band, Moonstone, and what was the music like?
I grew up in a very fortunate time, and I remember talking to Greg Rowley about this in our last show, which was a couple of days before you came to see us at Woodstock with Asia. I was doing a Rock Pack show, and it was basically like a bucket list for me. I'm playing guitar. As you've seen me, I'm mostly a bass player with Asia, but I do play some guitar on Asia Records, or I did do. So it was really nice to bring out the guitar. I went and got a 60s SG, Gibson SG, and played Oh You Come of Our, Black Magic Woman, No One to Depend On, Evil Ways, with Greg. But it was that album in 68, 69, Abraxas came out, and it kind of changed my world. I grew up in a very fortunate time in the UK. At 10 years old, all these bands were happening. The Who, Yes, King Crimson, Santana, Deep Purple. It was the end of the 60s, and the music had changed from the twangy guitars of the Beatles and the surf bands to this new, strange sound of the power rock guitar with Hendrix. It hadn't happened before, No one had overdriven sounds, and it was, to me, the real start of rock and roll in the classic meaning of it. So that really made me dream about being a musician. And ironically, years later, I'm on stage with the guy that I listened to, or guys that I listened to when I was a kid.
Yeah, I find that fascinating.
At about 13, I started my first band, and I don't think we had a name for it. All that we thought was that we could rehearse down the hall, and we were 13, 14 years old, and girls would come and listen to us. So it was kind of a means to attract the ladies.
Perfect.
And, we weren't very good, and we were just messing about. But then my first band was a three-piece band called Moonstone, which was very much a Hendrix type thing, where I sang and played lead guitar. there were drums and bass. And then by then I'd got the bug. And in fact, one of the guitars, the first guitar my dad gave me, is on my wall here, which was the guitar I used in Moonstone.
Oh, wow.
Which is a Flying V, which found its way back to me after 40 years.
Oh, come on. All right. Tell us that story. That's like a Peter Frampton story.
Yeah, it is like a Peter Frampton story. So my father decided not with me. I held onto this guitar until I heard the song Shine On You Crazy Diamond. And I went, I want to sound like Gilmore. So I went out and bought black Fender Stratocaster with a maple neck. And to buy that guitar, I exchanged my Flying V that my dad bought for me. And it even had my name engraved onto the medallion on it. The Flying V's had a medallion on them.
Okay.
But I turned the medallion around and it wasn't personalized to me then, and I sold it. Stupidly. You never think at the time.
Right.
Then about 4 years ago, I got a call from a guy and he said, I was just restoring this old Flying V guitar. And I took the medallion off and turned it around and it said, presented to John Payne.
Oh,
and he said, I thought it might be you. So if you want to buy it, he followed it back and went from a band in England, which was my band, Moonstone, to a band in the States where it stayed for about 30 years, then found its way to Scotland.
Wow.
So I said, you sure it's mine? He said, yeah, it says John Payne on it. And he said, I've got the case for it says Moonstone. I go, that's my guitar.
Oh, my God.
Tell me what you want for it, and I'll send you the money. So I hadn't heard from the guy for a while. I emailed him back again. He said, you never emailed me back, so I sold it. I went, what?
Stop it.
And he goes, oh, you know what? I think your email ended up in my trash. So he goes, I know who it's sold to. Let me get hold of him and see if he'll sell it to you back. So he got hold of this guy. He said, no, he's gone on a cruise. He's gone on a cruise with a guitar.
With the guitar. He took the guitar on a cruise.
He was actually playing on a cruise.
Okay.
So it was a cruise from Scotland to Scandinavia. So I went, great. Guy comes back. He said, there's good news and bad news. Good news is, yes, he wants to sell the guitar to you. Bad news is, he can't. He went away on this cruise. His wife met somebody else, and she sold the guitar.
Oh, this is the craziest story ever.
Yes, he came back from the cruise, put his guitar there. He got kicked out. She kept the guitar and sold it.
Oh,
so he goes, I'm really sorry. So I said, where can you find it? He says, I don't know. So a year later, the first guy from Scotland goes, I've got your guitar back. And I go, okay, what do you want? Double it.
I'm getting on a plane right now.
And 10 days later, it was at my front door.
Oh,
and it's now on the wall in my home. I swear to God, that's a true story.
That is
40 years.
Crazy. That's crazier than Peter Frampton's, I have to say.
Yeah, well, I've got a reserve guitarist in Asia who's Venezuelan, and he said it was known that this guy had Frampton's guitar for a while because he was playing it in a bar in Venezuela.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Well, you just keep that guitar on the wall. Don't move it. Now you mentioned now you mentioned Scandinavia. So when we go back to Scandinavia, you were in a group called CCCP, and Johnny Cash's stepdaughter Carlene was on vocals. Now, were you even a fan of Johnny Cash?
I'm a fan more of his songwriting ability, but as we get older and stuff, like I wasn't that into the Beatles. I wasn't that into any country. I wasn't into any folk music. It was just I was Deep Purple, Santana, Yes, that was what I was listening to, and outside that I wasn't very interested. But now I've got older, you just realize how incredible these artists are.
Absolutely.
And, Sgt. Pepper's basically was the first progressive rock album, one of the greatest rock albums of all time. So now I am, and then I learned more about Johnny Cash through Carlene, and we became friends, and we all stayed out in Trondheim and Norway for about six months, and the record did pretty well.
So after CCCP, you went to work with ELO in ELO Part 2, and that didn't work out, but that was probably the best thing, because then you were brought into Asia in 1991, and you've pretty much been a part of that group ever since.
Yeah, it's because of that kind of, that things changed for me when I joined, and it was ELO, and I was doing a showcase for a band I had called The Passion. And Don Arden's son, David Arden, and Don Arden is Sharon Arden's dad as well, although he's passed now, who, had Jet Records, managed Black Sabbath and ELO as a record company and manager. They came to see me at the showcase and said, we don't want to sign your band, but we'd like you to join ELO. So I was a big fan of ELO production, songs, and everything.
Oh yeah.
And I said I'd love to. But for a year, they were basically trying to work out. I don't think Jeff Lynne was very happy about it happening, and then there was some legal document that it could only be called ELO Part 2. And I was just hanging around for a year. I got to go to the USA to do some pre-production with Bev and Jim Steinman, who was going to produce the album. But it was all kind of, I went there, we ended up not recording, and it was all wrapped up in legal issues. Then Jeff Downs, who I knew before through my friend Phil Spalding from the band GTR that Jeff produced, said, come and do some songs with me. I did some songs with him. And then about 2 weeks later, he said, do you fancy joining Asia? And that was 1990. And then 1991, we were making a record.
How cool is that?
Yeah, very cool.
But you've had a ton of changes with the group Asia, and I would assume the emotional roller coaster had taken a toll at some point, right?
Yeah, Asia was always a shifting thing when we originally did it. We had both Steve Howe and Carl Palmer on there, but it was very much Jeff and I driving the ship. And then we had various different guitarists like Al Petrelli, Pat Thrall, Elliot Randall, Guthrie Govan, all great players. And, I did about 8 albums, which I was involved in a lot of the mixing and production and writing on. And then eventually, although it was scheduled not to happen, the obvious happened again. That the original lineup, naturally, interest was found in it after an anniversary period, and basically, I was kind of put out in the cold, but managed to come to an agreement where I could still use the name, but with my name attached to it.
Right.
So it then became Asia featuring John Payne, which is something I hate saying. It's really weird talking about yourself in a third party, but that was the legal necessity of it. So as people weren't confused that it was Asia with John Wetton. So, and sadly, John has passed now.
Right.
As we've lost a lot of our many greats with Emerson, Lake, Squire, and John Wetton passing, all within a very short period.
Oh yeah, and I'm so sorry about your losses. Again, I'm sure that everything that has happened has taken a toll on you, but at the end of the day, you're in a great spot at this point.
I am, and I spent a few years doing a show in Vegas called The Rock Pack, which I co-wrote with my friend David Kirschenbaum and co-created. And that kind of, even though it became Best of Vegas 2 years running, it kind of ended not very well, and I kind of had to depart from my own show. But with saying every cloud has a silver lining, everything has its time. Sometimes a relationship doesn't work. You have to move on, and whether you're kicked down, you fall down, or you lie down,
absolutely,
you've got to get back up and come back up punching. And I've always been able to manage to do that, thank God. And really, the new show that I've got now, the Rock Pack, is an eternal dream, because I'm playing the most iconic AOR singers of all time, and just having a field day.
Oh, you're having a blast. We can tell. You're having a great time.
Yeah. But and I always have fun performing. Even with my form of Asia, is that we all give 110%. The band's really good, and I think we show the songs in good light.
Oh, absolutely. And just taking another step back a little bit, you've recorded 8 albums with Asia since it became Asia featuring John Payne since 2007. And you had said back in 2013, you talked about releasing singles on YouTube instead of releasing an entire album. And you also said people have devalued music so much. Now, here we are 5 years later. You've seen more changes. Do you still feel that same way?
Yeah, I think it's been devalued even more. But here's the thing, is that you can't just say, oh, music industry is destroyed and everything. Is that really, it wasn't meant to be an industry initially. You got, especially from the great roots of the soul and the black music, starting rock and roll, and the blues, it's done for your pleasure, and you enjoy doing it. It just became monetary. Before, people used to just release one song, which was a single. They never got much royalty payment from it, but they could perform and do shows and get their money from live performance. And really, it's done a whole 360. It's come back to that now, that you record a song and that makes people come and see you. And maybe it's not a bad thing. Things have to change. Technology has changed. Streaming, unfortunately, is where the music industry has gone. Even companies like iTunes are thinking of possibly closing down and just going to streaming. But it is what it is, and it should not stop you being creative musically. Just maybe that, a band even as big as, say, Rush have been with their new upcoming, and I know that, the last few years have been great for them. Unfortunately, they've stopped now, but even they were putting out albums or whatever are never going to be like their big albums in the heyday in the 80s. So it's a changed world, and I don't even know if there's space for actual albums anymore. Who buys an album? Cars don't even have CD players in them anymore.
You're right.
So people are interested in tracks, and I think for my next Asia release, whenever it is, that might be the way I go. Just record a song, put it out on the internet, and do a video with it, and then just collect songs that way.
Now, there was also a time your likeness was used on The Family Guy. Tell us how that phone call went. Like, oh, we want to use you on The Family Guy. Were you on the other end going, what?
That phone call didn't happen.
Oh, it didn't? They just did it?
Being in a bar in Burbank. I was having a beer at the Burbank Bar and Grill. I remember exactly where I was. And all of a sudden, my phone's going crazy. People calling me, texting, and all this stuff. I pick it up, and it's just people saying, why didn't you tell us you were going to be on Family Guy? So the next day, someone sent me a clip on the internet, and I saw it. I had no idea it was going to happen.
Oh, come on.
Not a clue.
Now, did they say it was you? Did they say, oh, this is John Payne? Did they make any reference to you?
Well, they just called me lead singer of Asia, but it was obviously me with the jacket and the cross on and the little beard. And later, I'd bumped into Seth Farland and said, how cool it was that he did it and everything. And he said, oh yeah, he said, I've got something for you. And he said, we want to send you a present of you with one of the characters on Family Guy. So he said, who would you like to be with? I said, oh, Stewie. So I've actually got a picture of me and Stewie on the Family Guy set that they drew specially for me.
And just to figure out where John Payne came from to be on the Family Guy, that's just so funny.
It's just, I know, I don't even know how it happened, but it did.
Well, someone might have been drinking one night and said, you know what, he's going to look good on our show.
Yeah, quite possibly. Because also, their offices are in LA, so who knows?
Right. Now, also, you were an actor, too. You dabbled in that. You were Parson Nathaniel in the War of the Worlds. Now, how was that different, acting, than just getting up and doing your own thing when you're playing and singing on tour?
Hard. So, Jeff Wayne, who's been a big producer in the UK, wrote this incredible double album called War of the Worlds. And it was a musical interpretation of War of the Worlds. Mm-hmm. And it's narrated, it's got like the London Symphony Orchestra on it, and it's narrated by Richard Burton, the famous actor, and it had great singers on it. Chris Thompson from Manfred Mann, Justin Hayward from the Moody Blues, and Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy. They decided that they wanted to tour this, and they'd done a couple of tours before with it and just did set up stadium shows around the UK, about 15 dates. So I got a call from Jeff Wayne and said, I like your voice. We want someone with a gruff voice to play one of the parts. And I said, what part? And he goes, well, Phil Lynott, because he's obviously not with us anymore. I've always been a Thin Lizzy fan. Mm-hmm. And I said, that's cool. And I said, what else is involved? He said, well, you've got to dress up as a parson and act the part. It's not just singing. It's a musical. So I went, you sure? So I went into rehearsals and did it. But when you're backstage and there's 25,000 people in the audience and you're waiting to go on and appear through this fog as this crazed parson holding a cross and screaming like obscenities, there's a green light in the sky. And it was all about the aliens coming to Earth. And I love doing it.
Yeah, I was going to say, you would seem I would think that you would enjoy that.
I did. The timing was really hard because I had to interact with Richard Burton, who was
oh my gosh.
A hologram on stage.
Right, because he wasn't there.
He wasn't there. And he was obviously all pre-recorded and on a click. So I had a click in my ear with count-ins for stuff, but then there were monologues that were maybe 30 seconds long, and I had to end in exactly, it's one bit where he goes, no, parson, no, and then he interrupts me in the middle of something. So it was really hard, especially when you've got adrenaline on stage, to pace yourself
right in
a 37 monologue to be in time.
Now, would you do this again? Would you act again?
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I enjoy a challenge, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And really, it was a thing that really helped me get to this stage 2 of my career of with the Rock Pack show. I have a pub on the stage, and as each artist comes on to sing their hits, it could be Bobby Kimball, it could be Lou Gramm, it could be Steve or Jerry, it could be Mickey Thomas, it could be Robin Zander, and I talk to them about their career for 5 minutes before we play their 4 or 5 major hits. So it kind of put me on the path to doing that stuff, and also to doing my show that I co-created in Las Vegas.
Right. Well, so you did the Rock Vault. We briefly talked about that, and you worked with John Anderson from Yes, Howard Leese from Heart, Tracy Guns from Guns N' Roses, and so many more talented musicians. That dissolved in 2014, but you turned right around. You created the Rock Pack. So tell us how the Rock Pack came to be.
So while I was doing this show, and also for me, it had done its time as well, as though it was very difficult leaving my other show, but doing the same show 5 nights a week, same song, same order, for 2 years also takes its toll of losing spontaneity. And I wanted to create a show that could be a little bit more non-scripted, right, or unscripted. So, and also I was living in Vegas, and everything was about, the Rat Pack played here, the Rat Pack played here. I thought, what about if I start a Rock Pack? So basically a bunch of iconic singers from the 70s and the 80s, and I kind of be the ringmaster for it and have these talented guys on stage singing some of their hits.
Now, did you just reach out to all of the people that you had worked with in the past, or how did that work? Basically,
I even Greg Rowley, Asia had played with Greg Rowley, we played with Mickey Thomas, John Anderson I've met many times, and of course Yes and Asia are all part of the same family, really. So it was just, I didn't even go through agents and managers. Luckily, be in a position where I'd call up, say, John Anderson, and say, John, is this something you'd want to do for a couple of weeks, or is it something you want to come to Trinidad with us, or Lou Gramm, do you want to come to Puerto Rico and do a show? And now the more we do these shows, the more camaraderie there is between these guys. And like on Don't Stop Believing, everyone comes out and sings together. It's so much fun. As you know Steve or Jerry very well.
He's awesome.
He's a great asset to the show.
Yeah.
Become a wonderful friend, and we have a lot of fun together. And he's extremely professional, and it's cool seeing these people enjoying what they do, but having the added thing of basically, at the pub, it's the Letterman show where you actually get in to see what these people are about and what they like to do, what their hobbies. And I change the questions all the time.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you that. I was just going to ask you, sometimes, maybe the same questions come out. Do you find that you get scripted with the questions, or do you really make an effort to be different every time?
I make an effort to be different every time. It's like, I know some of them are thinking, oh, God, what's John going to say about me? It's so funny. I was introducing the band the other day, and I'd recently been watching the movie Almost Famous.
Yep.
And our drummer, Johnny Fedovich, was the drummer in the band Almost Famous.
Oh, wow.
And he's the guy that, when the plane's going down, screams that he's gay. And it's it's so, I kind of like embarrassing people.
I was just going to say,
them on the spot.
What's been the craziest? Have you thrown anyone off guard to the point where they just had no clue what to say?
Not really. I mean, they know me so well is that they're all pretty sharp. Lou and I have a very cool camaraderie when I speak to Lou Graham, and I throw in sidewinders to him. But they all, I think, appreciate that point of it. It makes them think on their feet, you know. And it's I think it's fun for people watching us having fun, rather than people looking, oh, this is so scripted, you know.
Right.
I don't think people want to see it scripted.
No, you're right. And because just as being a fan as well, of course, we want to see you guys having fun. And I think that does throw an extra really cool piece into the show that you interview them. And I did see a picture of you singing with Lou Graham. You guys were singing Jukebox Hero. Now,
it was amazing. We were doing Jukebox Hero. And of course, when Lou's doing his bit, I stand back and I have another mic at the back of the stage where I sing vocals. And he's beckoned me over to sing Jukebox Hero with him, and it's like one of those times where you pinch yourself and you don't take it for granted that you're standing next to one of the greatest singers of all time in our culture and our musical history, and you're singing with him, and he's enjoying being part of something that you've created. It's a wonderful feeling, and money can't buy those things.
Of course. Now, do you have actually musicians reaching out to you now saying, "Hey, John, I want to be a part of this"?
Yeah, that does happen. And I think the more this becomes branded, the more that it will, happen and expand to other people that we'd like to work with. People say like Ann Wilson.
I was just going to say, any females in the future for the Rock Pack?
Yeah, I mean, we're reaching out to Ann Wilson at the moment.
Nice.
And really, and I've known this from my research, there are not that many iconic classic rock female singers.
You're right. Because I was trying.
Very few.
You're right. I was trying to rack my brain. I'm like, of course, Lita Ford, Joan Jett, Pat Benatar, but the list is not very long.
No, I mean, you almost got the whole list there that you just said.
Right, but again, if you were to even bring one of them with you into the Rock Pack, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine.
No, I think it would be great. And I know Lita wants to do it as well.
Does she really?
We have the same agent, and she's a sweetheart. I know her pretty well through Ronnie James Dio. We both did stuff for Ronnie James Dio's funeral. So
right. I'm so sorry about that. That must have been an awful time for you.
Yeah, he was a really nice guy. Influenced me a lot as a singer. Became friends. Toured Asia and Dio toured together, and a lot of my power vocal side comes from influence from Ronnie, and I was so taken aback when Wendy asked, Jeff Tate and Glenn Hughes and myself to sing at Ronnie's actual funeral. That was incredible that she would ask that, but also extremely hard at the same time.
Oh my God, I cannot even imagine. But again, as extremely painful as I'm sure that was for you, it must have also been the utmost honor for you to be a part of that in that way.
I mean, incredible honor, and probably the hardest thing I ever did. And I don't get nervous, but when you have contemporaries, and then more than contemporaries, sitting there at such a sad occasion, and it was only in a small church in Forest Lawn in Los Angeles that it was almost surreal, that I kind of remember almost like an out-of-body experience, that I'm almost playing and looking down on myself playing.
Yeah.
It was completely on autopilot. I think I do remember Wendy asked if I could sing Rainbow Eyes. I don't know if you remember that song.
Yes.
It was a rainbow song. And it was a song that Ronnie actually wrote for Wendy. She's got rainbow eyes.
Mm. But again, I'm sure he's looking down on you now, and he's proud of you. He's proud of everything you're still accomplishing, and you're growing the Rock Pack. And I have to just put in here, your voice is beautiful. I don't even know if that sounds weird to you or not, but when I was listening to you sing, you have a beautiful voice. I don't know if that's good or bad.
Thank you so much. Well, no, that's very, it's the main reason I really love doing this is to touch people or do something, and a voice is a very personal thing. It's a thing that can be fragile. It's a thing that I feel my voice has grown as I get older. There's more harmonics in my voice than when I first started.
Which is different,
for me,
right?
Yeah. The more I sing, the stronger my voice becomes. So I'm the opposite from a lot of people. If I go on tour, I like doing as many dates in a row as I can.
Okay.
It's the days off that will make my voice suffer.
Wow.
So I'm very lucky so far to have been blessed with.
Well, and we appreciate you blessing us with that beautiful voice of yours, because I'm standing there going, what? Because honestly, I've seen a lot of performers, who I loved in my childhood, and I'm seeing them now. I'm blessed to be able to see everybody now. And sometimes the voices are just not there. You still have the respect for the performer, but, listening to you and your voice, I was blown away. I just have to say that.
I think if you can't give 100%, maybe it's time to do something else, or there's a lot of people that will still enjoy the concert because of the nostalgia,
right,
because of the songs, but it's kind of sad when you see a singer struggling so hard,
right,
and they're not feeling great themselves if they can't do it, and a voice is one of those things that just can slip away.
I agree.
And that's what Steve Perry was always about. I've asked Steve a couple of times to see if he would do this, and you see him also say in press, I frankly don't know if I can do it anymore.
Wow.
I frankly don't know if my voice is there. And Perry, I've had these conversations with Steve or Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
The guy had the most incredible, lyrical, high voice there's ever been.
Right.
And it's hard, with a guitar, you can go out, party all night, talk to people, come back out and play guitar the next day.
Right.
If you've stayed up all night and you're partying, you got a show the next day, your voice is gone.
Yeah.
But, saying that, there are a lot of people out there, particularly I've toured a bit with Paul Rodgers. I mean, he's a freak. Paul's voice is every bit as good as when he started.
Wow.
It's frightening.
It's a lot of work to keep your voice good.
Yeah, and most of the work is by keeping singing.
Right, which you're lucky enough to do.
I'm lucky enough to do, and I've had a good summer this summer of doing quite a few gigs, and even without sleep, and for that gig you saw us at, we've had 16 hours traveling to get to that place.
Really?
From Trinidad.
Oh,
after a 5 a.m. leave in Trinidad. We started in Vegas to Canada to Trinidad to Boston, and then Boston to Woodstock.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, John, what is on deck for the Rock Pack for the rest of 2017? And do you guys plan on expanding your tours to be more spread out across the U.S. next year? Because New England wants a piece of the pack. I'm telling you that right now.
Yeah. I think people, companies like Live Nation are wanting to see if there is longevity in this thing. And really, 2017 has been an experimental year. I started it in 2015.
Okay.
And 2017, we started doing some more shows. 2018, I think we'll see us doing a lot more shows.
Good.
I'd be happy to do 60 shows next year.
Oh my
which
goodness.
would take us all over North America.
That'd be great.
That should happen.
Because
I just see it growing and growing.
Again, like I had said to at Woodstock, we want this. This is something that I think is lacking. I mean, there are some groups, they do, a few groups together. I saw Cheap Trick, Heart, and Joan Jett together. I thought that was awesome. But you've got legends with you doing one show as well, but you've got more. So I really think it will take off because fans do want that.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to a convention, AIBA in Nashville next month, which is a booking convention. I'm going to be talking to some of the buyers about the show and see if we can really get this on the map next year.
Well, I'm excited.
And I'm excited too.
Now, John, did your mom just recently visit from England and she bought you a guitar?
Yeah, it was quite funny. She came over and I told her, I said, "Oh, Mom, I'm going to be working with Greg Rowley from Santana." She goes, "Oh yes, you've always liked Sultana." So I said, "Yeah, I'm going to get a guitar. I'm going to get an SG." And she came over and I paid for a whole stay here. She goes, "Well, I've got a load of these American dollars, and I don't want to take them back." She goes, and I'm looking at a guitar on the internet. She goes, "Let's go and get it." So we went and got the guitar, and then on stage in Trinidad, I said to Greg, "Come here, Greg, take a picture with me of this guitar, and we can send it to my mum." And we got kind of an inside joke about our mums. And he goes, "Yeah, come on, I'll do one. I'll do one for Mum." And so we took a picture, which is on my Facebook, of this 60s reissue SG Gibson SG, and I'm just going to get it framed and send it out next week.
That is so cool. That's so neat.
Yeah.
Now, I heard that you like to drink and you like to cook. What's on tap for today?
Yeah. So tonight, I think it's just going to be drinking tonight.
Okay, good.
So I've got a recording studio at home. I've just been out for a big lunch with my maintenance guy and friend, and they're actually saying that in the future there's going to be a pilot that I'm going to be doing for a cooking show as well out here in Vegas.
I knew it. So, you're going to be a riot.
So, it's going to be so much fun.
Oh, yeah.
And it's with a very well-known comedian, which I think you know. And we get drunk as we cook. We cook for a celebrity and ask them about their career. And we seriously drink a couple of bottles of wine each. So,
and you get paid for that.
And we get paid for it, yeah. I get paid for everything I do. I get paid for enjoying myself. What a wonderful life.
You are blessed, John. You are absolutely blessed. And I had the pleasure of seeing you at Woodstock again. Your voice is absolutely beautiful. Whatever you're doing, just keep on doing it. And I would love to see the song Seasons Will Change make a resurgence, because that is a great song. And I am...
Thank you. We've been talking about putting that back in the set, actually.
Please do. That is such a great song. Because with the keyboards and everything, I love that song. That's a new favorite too.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm truly hoping, and I know so many people would agree, that the Rock Pack needs to rock New England in 2018. And thank you so much for joining us, and we are loving all of the work that you are doing, John. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate all your support, and anytime you want to come to a show, let us know.